Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with a couple of mini Slimline cards using Honeybee Stamps Love You S'more stamp set. I am a sucker for puns, so sets like this are just right up my alley. So I had a bunch of pieces of Neenah, Classic Crest, Solar White 80-pound cardstock. It's actually a couple of larger scraps, and I just quickly trimmed them down until I had a whole bunch of little squares that I could then put into my MISTI and then just keep stamping over and over again because I wanted to do a card stacking this little s'more image. So I'm stamping the image with some intense black ink that is Copic friendly. And after I've stamped all of the images, I'm going to remove the s'more stamp from my MISTI, and then I'm going to use, there's a little smiley face stamp in the set, so you can choose to use it or not. I decided I wanted to use it because it just, it just makes them cute. So same thing, lined that up with the stamped image, and then just kept repeat stamping till all my little images were stamped with this cute little happy face. You could also do it and just do one with a happy face, but I wanted them all to have it. So I did that, and then my Copic coloring is all really simple. Right now this is real time. I do not color as fast as I show in my videos. I wish I did some days. But this is real time. I started with the little wafers on the top and bottom of the s'more, and like I always do, I do darkest to lightest because it's just force of habit at this point with me. And I decided to do kind of the center of the images a little bit lighter. I just like the dimension that gives when I do this. And with images like this, though, you can do whatever you want. It's a s'more with a happy face. There's no realism here. So worked my way from darkest to lightest for the little wafers. And then I'm going to do that little piece of chocolate with one of my favorite darker brown combos, which is E29, E27, E25. And same thing, darkest to lightest. And then the marshmallow itself, you could almost leave, really, but I wanted to add a little bit of color to it because even though I'm saying we're not going for realism, I'm thinking of, when I'm actually roasting marshmallows on a campfire and, the color I prefer. Which, doing this right now, it is so cold here. We hit minus 45 Celsius this morning. I can't wait for summer and campfires and s'mores. Anywho, once I was happy with the first image and I was like, hey, I like these colors, I like how this looks, I then went into kind of mass production mode to color the rest of these images, which I've sped up in editing. I definitely don't color this quickly, but I did sort of the same thing. I did each little section and I colored everything at once. So I did the darkest brown on the wafers, and I did all the images. And then I did the middle color and then the lighter color, and just kept working my way back and forth with all of these so that it took very little time to color in all of these images. And then once I was completely done coloring them, I pulled out my Jelly Roll 10 gel pen. This is the widest white gel pen that Jelly Roll has, and it is my absolute favorite. I was going on about this in a recent video on my channel and saying how this has definitely been my most favorite white gel pen. Saying that though, also there's a difference. If you let your gel pens sit for long periods of time and you don't use them, that more often is why you'll have issues with them. So I use this so consistently that it just always works for me. In fact, to the point where I've almost run out and I've ordered backups, for when the time comes for when I use it up. But so far, this one has never given me grief. So anywho, after I was done coloring the images, I die cut them with the coordinating wafer die. And then I have a piece of some smooth white cardstock here. And I am very lightly blending on some vintage photo distress ink. I'm using one of Honeybee's background blender brushes, the bigger one. And I'm just very lightly picking up the ink on the brush. And you can't tell from the video, but I am barely pressing the brush. I'm not adding weight to the brush, because I'm not reefing on it. I'm not pressing really hard. I'm just really, really lightly blending the ink. I'm not too worried about the very center. That's where I put the brush down first. So that's where the most ink is concentrating. And I'm not worried about that because it's going to get covered up by all those little s'more images. I just wanted a nice kind of light blend behind the images just to give this card a little more color, because for the most part they're fairly simple. So once I was happy with how that blend turned out, I'm gonna add a little bit of splatter, of course. So I've got ground espresso distress ink. So I just smushed that onto one of my little plastic palettes. I'm gonna add a bit of water, and then I'm just going to swirl the ink and the water together. And then I'm just gonna lightly splatter that onto this background. And then I add more. Because if I'm not gonna do a whole lot, I'm actually not gonna add like a bunch of embellishments or anything. I wanted the images to take like center stage, but I wanted to bring in that kind of darker brown color into the background. So I splattered that on the background, set that aside. I'm using sentiments from the same set, and I decided I would do several more sentiments because I thought, while I've got everything out, why not make a second card? So I'm just going to line up, not even really line up, I'm just pulling out the sentiments and just sticking them on this cardstock. I'm not worried about getting them straight, anything like that. I'm going to white heat emboss them. So I used my anti-static powder tool, brushed off the excess, and then I inked up all these sentiments with some clear embossing ink, and then closed the lid of my MISTI, press that down, and then I'm going to coat all these with some detail white embossing powder. And then I just use a dry paintbrush. Sometimes, you know, even with using the anti-static powder tool, there's a few little strays that like to stick around, so I just brush those away with the dry paintbrush, and then melt everything with my heat tool. Once everything is melted, I'm going to use the coordinating wafer dies, because that's set, as is tradition with Honeybee, there's wafer dies for all of the images as well as all the sentiments, which just makes me happy. So I don't have to fiddle and get everything straight, you know, and try and trim it straight. I can just stick the dies into place, hold them down with some washi tape, and then I'll run this through my die cut machine, and all of these sentiments will be die cut. So once I've got everything just held in place with just little bits of the washi tape, die cut them all, and then I need to make my card base. So I had said this is going to be a mini slimline card, which I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure with these if there's a standard, like specific size. However, this card base is going to be 6 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So I cut my cardstock to 6 1/2 by 6 1/4 inches. And on my guillotine trimmer, I added a piece of washi tape to mark the 6 1/4 inches, and then I used a Sharpie marker to mark the 6 1/2 inches, because that guillotine trimmer only goes to 6 inches with the measurements. So after I did that, I scored that card base at 3 1/4 inches, and that made my 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch mini slimline card. And then this white piece of cardstock that I blended and splattered is 3 by 6 inches. So I've got my card base, my card front, the splatter's dry. So this is the final time I'm going to line up my little stack of s'mores. Got them how I wanted them. And then rather than try and adhere every single one individually, I just took a longer piece of washi tape, stuck it down, and now I have this stack. Flip it over, and I'm just going to pop some foam tape onto this and call it a day. So super simple. So I just pop some foam tape onto the back of these, and it's just wide enough that I could put 2 pieces of foam tape. So they're still kind of being held by the washi tape for the moment, which actually comes in handy to center this onto the card. I've shown in other videos, you can also, after peeling off the backing, you could add a bit of liquid glue to the foam tape, because it gives you that little bit of wiggle room before everything like fully adheres. But instead of doing that, I just used my little washi tape handle and centered my little s'mores there onto the background, pressed them down, and then just very carefully removed the washi tape. Technically, washi tape won't tear your cardstock, but it's better to be careful. So I just kind of pull it back on itself. And then once I've got that removed, I'm going to adhere this one sentiment with just little foam squares and pop that into place. And then I decided I was going to adhere this panel to the card base with some more foam tape as well. Because again, if I'm keeping cards more simple, a lot of times I'll, you know, add more dimension. It just gives it that little extra something. So pop some foam tape onto the back of this panel, and then I'm popping this onto my card base. And then I'm going to adhere one of the sentiments and that last little s'more. So it says, I need s'more friends like you. Love it. I love puns. They just make me smile. So I'm going to adhere the sentiment on the inside with some liquid glue and then adhere my little s'more, and that finished off the first card. The second card I didn't bother filming because it's literally the exact same thing except for different images and sentiments. I did the exact same Copic colors. I colored in the to-go cup and the donuts with the exact same Copics I used on the s'mores. I did the background the exact same, added the sentiments, popped the coffee cup and the donuts up with a little bit of foam tape. And then I'm just going to adhere these other sentiments onto the inside of this card. And that finishes off both of these cards. So I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I'll have the pictures in the blog post, the info, as well as picture links to all of the supplies used. So you can check that out in the description box below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching and for subscribing, thumbs upping, commenting, all of it. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.